Today I'm really delighted to welcome Hans Wilhelm. Hans is a mystic, author and illustrator who has written and illustrated more than 200 books, including several in collaboration with Byron Katie. His work has reached over 40 million readers and has been translated into 30 languages. For more than 12 years now, Hans has also been sharing his wisdom through short YouTube videos, over 170 of them, where he draws as he explains the spiritual laws of the universe. Watching him work, you can actually see how the deeper patterns of life unfold and how everything connects. As Hans puts it, his wish is simply to inspire people to explore spirituality and to look at their lives from a wider perspective. When we begin to see how everything fits together, how everything is connected, that nothing is a mistake, we start to sense the perfection and the love that lie at the heart of it all. Welcome to our show, Hans.
Renaud, I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much. Lovely to meet you.
Now, let's fire away with the first question of where do we come from and where are we ultimately going in life? This serious question that I think most people ask when they have a quiet moment or when they reach the later stage in life.
You couldn't start with anything lighter than that. Okay. Well, I like to mention here, Renaud, quickly that understanding, knowledge, wisdom, I wouldn't call it. It's both time. Mostly it's still understanding, comes from various sources I've studied over the last 60 years, and particularly recently through the teachings of Gabriele, and a woman in Germany, an emissary of light who has revealed a lot of revelation from the spiritual world. All these blue books here in my back are basically her revelations, and she has given us all a path which is extremely simple, easy to understand. She always says God is ingenious simplicity. And there are no dogmas, and there are no teachers. There is no organization to join. It is really a path between you and divinity, God within yourself. And that is what I've been following for the last 45 years or so intensely, and try to apply that in my life, and have seen that because seeing it work in my life, I also believe in it, and I trust it, and it works for me. And of course, we all come from different consciousness level, and not every path is right for everybody else. So we all have to understand that and respect other people's beliefs, what they feel, where we come from and where we are going. And therefore, it is never my intention to convince anybody that my way of understanding believing is the only way. It is only what I understand, and I share it. If it works for somebody, it's great. But that's also fine with me. What I have done over the last 15 years or so, I've done very short videos, as you mentioned, 3 or 4 minutes to 10 minutes, in which I visually explain how the laws of the universe work. For instance, here you see of somebody using karma, hitting someone. The karma is stored in the body, in the soul, in the Akashic records, in the planets, and returns eventually. When we see this visually of how it all connects, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm sharing that. And I'm going very much by Albert Einstein's famous line. It says, if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you probably haven't understood it yourself. So that's how I do my videos, and that's why I do them without any desire or intention to convince anybody that my view is the right view. But the fact is that 20 million people are now hooked to it, shows that some people find something in here which resonates with them. And that brings us back to your questions of where do we come from. My understanding of that this is an illusionary temporary world in which we are, because we see the contrast of good and evil. We have got time and space. All these things do not exist in the absolute reality from where we all once came. We are children of God, of divinity, and God and divinity is unity, is harmony, is joy, is peace, of course, and mostly mentioned love. And this is our origin. And because of our egoism, our egoistic, self-centered and selfish will, we have slowly removed ourselves from this very high vibration and have fallen deeper and deeper into this three-dimensional reality, where we now at each other and fight for survival and steal energy from each other, because we have sort of lost the connection to divinity and do not get the same amount of energy for survival than we used to have. So in this very difficult world we are here now, what shall we do? So my first answer, where do we come from? We come from love. And whether we go through, we will definitely all return back to love. It will be a difficult journey for most of us because where we are is self-created. Nobody is here by accident. We are in our difficult situations and in our life challenges and trials because we over time have created that. We are merely reaping what we have sown, as Christ said in the Sermon on the Mount. And so whatever we are having to face in our life is something that is here for us to clear up right now. This is the opportunity for us to forgive, to let go, to make amends, and to let this negative energy be turned into positive energy. Because basically, everything is nothing else but energy. God is energy, absolute reality energy, matter is energy, as we know, and nothing is real. And it appears.
When the body dies, what happens to the soul?
Well, there are many, many possibilities. You see, the same way as we come here to this planet Earth, somebody got born in a hospital, some at home, some in a taxi, some on an airplane, some in poverty, some in richness. We all have a different arrival, and we also have a very different departure. People die for illness, etc., and accident, etc. And they arrive on the other side according to their consciousness and their strong beliefs. So if somebody really never believed in life after death, that can be very confusing for that soul, because the one thing for sure is that life continues. We are eternal being. But a soul who has never contemplated or even thought about the possibility may have a very difficult time on the other side to suddenly realize, oh, what is this here? I'm not dead. I'm not really alive. I don't have my body anymore. And they need time to refigure their situation. Others, of course, who are aware of it and feel more comfortable on the other side, knowing that the other side is not that much different than on this side. But we no longer have our physical body, which means all the pleasures, the cravings which we needed our physical body for, we can't really live out there anymore. So there are a lot of souls who says, wow, I can't do this anymore. I can't. And then they long for the life they had here on planet Earth because they need the body for their addictions, for their pleasures, for their sensuality, and for their ego often. And they drive themselves to be either incarnated here as well or become earthbound souls.
But does the soul consciously decide to reincarnate again?
Yes, my understanding is yes. For the most part, is yes. There are a few exceptions that they unconsciously get pulled into another incarnation because they have basically given their life over to negative entities. We call it a Faustian bargain. That soul eventually has to serve these masters who have given them wealth, fame, and power in a lifetime. They now have to serve them, and some there basically will be pushed by these entities back into an incarnation. But all of us are here on our free will. We have decided here because we understand that this is the shortest way to clear up our karma. In the spiritual realm, where we are surrounded by like attracts like, by like-minded spirit beings, to move on, to grow, etc. It's not easy because everybody talks the same, sees the same, say the things. We don't have much variation. But here on planet Earth, souls from all different consciousness levels incarnate, and there we are surrounded by by a wise soul living next door to a very poor, impoverished one, and we see many different alternative lifestyles and life concepts. And now we can think about, is that what we do right? Does it compare? Does it correspond with my soul? And so it's easier here. Plus, also, we are encountering other people whom we may have hurt in a previous lifetime or who have hurt us in a previous lifetime. And now we have the opportunity to undo our karma here in the world, in the physical world.
You just showed us earlier on that picture with the one man wielding a club and hitting the other. Can we just go back to that? Just show us that picture again. Karma is more complex than that, isn't it? I mean, now people often think, well, if I get hit by that man, someone else will go and hit that man again. That's a very simplistic term of explaining karma, but it's more complex than that, isn't it?
Well, first of all, we have to ask ourselves, why is he hitting me? That's the first question. Why am I get hit by that person? What may I have done to that soul or to that person in this lifetime, previous lifetime, or to someone else, or to myself? See, a lot of people run down with a very negative self-image. I'm no good, I'm no bad. They're beating themselves up on themselves. So to reflect that back to us, to tell us that this is no way, you should love yourself like your neighbor, love thyself. Souls incarnate to really eventually physically harm us, to do the very same thing we are doing to ourselves. The outside world is nothing but a mirror for ourselves. So this person, for instance, if this person has a very low self-esteem, always beating up, I'm not good, and was this person hits him and says, this is what you are doing to yourself. Wake up. And then we have to learn to wake up. But of course, that energy is stored in the Akashic record, which surrounds our planet Earth, and most importantly, in the planets, in the repository planets. And they move constantly and they fill eventually, and they bring the karma back either in the same lifetime or in a later lifetime. That's where astrology comes from. So it's a very complex thing, but basically it's very simple. We're again talking about vibration. If I acted against the vibration of love, I have to undo that. And that's the way. That's what karma basically comes. Karma comes back to me and says, this wasn't good. Either you do it through forgiveness or you expiate it, you feel it. You have to endure the pain that you have given others. There are only these two ways to clear it up.
Now,
So
what do you say to people who then say, why does bad luck here hit really good people?
they're blessed because the karma hits them because they are strong enough to deal with it. We are never given more than we can handle. So if you have got a wonderful person and so on, and they are suddenly have got an awful fate, that fate is something which comes back from their past life. They can be a wonderful and lovely like person in this lifetime, but who knows what we have done in past lifetimes. Many of us had hundreds of thousands of lifetimes. And in the Middle Ages and stuff like this, life was horrible to survive. I mean, basically had to kill to survive in a way. So we all have been at some point killer, cheater, liars, adulterers, everything. All these rules we most likely have played in one form or another. And not everything is balanced out. And they're coming back to us now to balance it out. So our life is only here for less than 30,000 days. It's very short. That's why the earth is only a school. This is not our place of living. And it's very short from a spiritual perspective. It's virtually nothing like going to the movies for an hour and coming back. So our life is very short, but we can do so much.
I have about 10 good summers left,
Yeah,
if I'm lucky.
you're lucky. Yeah.
So that suddenly a lifetime gets a different perspective, and you ask yourself, well, what am I going to do with those remaining summers left? How much time
Exactly.
have I got left?
Yeah, that's why you started this off with a very important question. Where do I come from? Where I'm going? As we get older, I think this question comes up with a young person who is sort of full of exploring life. It doesn't come up so often, but as we get older, we will have to find an answer to these questions. Where do I come from? Where do I going? And what do I do with the remaining hours which I may have left? It may not be even days, months, or years.
And there we are at the issue of purpose. Can you give our listeners some advice on how to find purpose for those remaining summers left?
I'm always very careful with the word purpose because when somebody says, I want to find my purpose, it very often comes from our ego. I want something very big. I want something to impress myself, the world, and everybody else. I want to invent a new cure or whatever it is. I want to matter here, that my life matters. That should be my purpose, and that comes often from the ego, and I do not think that is our purpose. It may very well be that we become a scientist or whatever to develop something wonderful, but to see that as a purpose, to find our purpose or mission gets easily into this to get something out of it.
I think that's an important point you just mentioned, because in my village here in Spain, there's a grocery dealer who is always kind and friendly. And I think just the kindness he emanates is already something so important for the whole village community, because that's where people come each day to buy their vegetables and their fruit. So I think in my view, he's found his purpose in just being a kind man.
And that is exactly why we are here. We are here to love and nothing else, which is another form of kindness. I think as you gave up a wonderful example. That is the key. Is I consider what is my purpose is to deal whatever is in front of me right away in the most loving way. Whatever. Now I have the conversation with you. That is my whole purpose in this moment, if you want to see it. My whole mission, my whole reason why I'm here is to have this hour together with you. There's nothing else which matters. And I want to do this from the highest loving point I'm capable. And if I do this moment, from every other interaction which I will have after we have our interviews, etc., I am right on target with my reasoning for be here in this life. All we have to do is to love and nothing else. All the other things are just sort of side trips and so on. But basically to love. Can we really love everybody in our life? Can we actually love a war? Can we love presidents? I won't go there.
Let's not go there.
But the moment we see in the so-called negative, the positive, we already are on the right road because nothing can exist in our temporal reality without divinity. Divinity is a carrier, as Gabriele explained it, as the canvas of a picture. That is God, the canvas, and what we paint on it is our stuff. But God is always there. And if you are irritated by the stuff on top, push it aside, focus on the basic, on what it is based, on the divinity, on the positive. Every situation has a positive. In illness has a positive, yes, because illness means some karma is flowing out of me. It's like having a big bank debt of $1 million and suddenly I'm paying it off. And once I'm done with this illness, this debt is gone. So there's a positive in this. Also, it can teach me humility. It can teach me how to become, to accept help from others and so on. So in an illness as such, which we all want to avoid, there is so-called a blessing, a positive in it. And we can find it in every element in our life. That all of these negative things are actually having the positive component. That's one of the tools which we learn on the spiritual inner path, to focus on the positive and every negative. Because the moment we do that, we are not running our negative programs. It says, what can be positive in here? And the moment we do this, we sort out our negative energies, the negative thoughts, and are more focused.
So that's the spiritual disconnect. If you disconnect from love, from kindness.
When we are in our ego thoughts, yes, when we are in, mostly are in our ego thoughts. The moment we are thinking, we are basically away from divinity. That's a sad thing. I mean, we've made some good thoughts and so on,
The
but
tragedy we have as humans, because we know we're going to die, but a dog, I love dogs, are so in the present moment, loving unconditionally, and we can learn so much from them. Now, we humans, of course, on the one hand, have the power of choice, but how much of our life is predetermined?
everything in our life which we experience in a way is predetermined, but only by ourselves. Because whatever we encounter from day to day is something that we have once sown into the cosmic computer in the stars, and it's now coming back. It can be the person who cuts me off in the traffic, can be the negative phone call, it can be suddenly I get laid off from work. All these things I have once sown. Basically, my whole movie, which I've watched, is on rewind. So I'm facing only myself. Wherever I look in every situation, I only face myself. The outside world is only a mirror. So predetermined only in the way that we have once sown it into there is no God or somebody who gives us this horrible karma or horrible situation. We have done it ourselves, and it comes to us at a time when we are strong enough to clear it up, either through forgiveness or through feeling it, expiating it, and asking for forgiveness and making amends. And then that vibration, the negative vibration, can become love vibration again. So they're basically bringing up everything which is our wrong vibration, which we have caused through our ego selfish behavior pattern. And once we have experienced and forgiven, becomes, etc., becomes better, the higher light again. And once with it, we become as also an energy body into a higher vibration. And that means we are then attracted to higher and higher level in the spiritual realm, eventually then returning back to the absolute reality.
Let's just focus on that topic of forgiveness, because I think it's so important. It's, I think, perhaps one of the most difficult things to do as a human if someone has victimized or abused you. Well, I met Nelson Mandela just after his release, and I was so impressed by his forgiveness. And he emanated forgiveness. And I think these are very, very few souls who can actually do that, who can completely forgive.
I mentioned in him several of my videos. Yes, he is my great ideals as well, like Gandhi as well, and Christ, of course. These people have achieved far more in life through forgiveness than through war. I agree. Forgiveness is something we like. We are brought up, I think, the wrong way of forgiveness. Forgiveness, I forgive you, um, because you were a bad person, which is basically nothing else than boosting my ego. I'm the right person, but you're bad. So I will give you forgiveness. Oh, but remember, you were wrong. I was right. This is such a selfish and wrong way of looking for forgiveness. True forgiveness comes to understand that whatever the other person has done to me, to anybody else, is for my purpose, for me to wake up. That person basically is an angel in disguise who came into my life and did something, quote, horrible, so that either I wake up, either I expiate, I feel this pain I've given others or them to themselves. So that person is basically serving. And in the end, when we truly understand forgiveness, and I think it's a great video on forgiveness on my website, we will actually be able to thank the person for having done whatever they did to us. Then we are no longer coming from a feeling of superiority, being better than they are, but understanding that that person has taken on a very difficult task to harm us in a way so that we wake up. I know this is very difficult for many people to understand.
But if you look at it from experiencing pain, when we experience pain, we really dig deep into our soul to find meaning for that pain.
Yeah, that's a wake up. Yeah, it's a wake up call. Sometimes these horrible thing, and yeah, it is self-reflection, understanding. Once we understand that the outside world is nothing but a mirror, and that whatever has happened to me is something that I've once sent out, everything shifts. Then I no longer ever am a victim. Now, this is very difficult for people to understand. Well, there's a 6-year-old girl who has been raped by somebody, etc., and there have been the Holocaust and so on. But if we really go deep into this, and we won't have time for that one, but we really meditate on this one, that is all part of a healing process, which is extremely painful, but it has to be performed this way because it is agreed upon on the souls who are experiencing on some level. Not on the human level, definitely not, because there we will not find answers. We have to go further onto a higher level to understand that. Nothing happens here by chance. Everything, and Byron Katie is so clear about this, nothing happens to us. Everything happens for us. So how can this disaster which happened to me or to others be actually serving me? We have to think about it. And Eckhart Tolle has this wonderful line that says, whatever happens in life, think about it that you already planned it for your own growth and accept it as such. So when we see it as something that I have actually wanted to come into my life, all the energy sort of may dissipate or may sort of get slowed down. So we are in a world where everybody is facing themselves, and that is very, very tough because we like to blame people around us all the time. We are born that way. We are blamed. My brother did this, etc., etc. The teacher did this, the president did this, and so on. But no, the outside world is a mirror of ourselves. And in many of my videos, I show this, how our aura is made of the pictures of our belief system and reflecting back to us, and we basically only see ourselves.
You mentioned Einstein earlier on, and he once said that we are developing collectively into a stage where we'll have a kind of cosmic religion. But where are we collectively as a human species at the moment? When we look around, you mentioned the world is a mirror. Seems to be a lot of conflict, a lot of division, a lot of polarization. What
Yeah,
lesson do we need to learn from that?
well, I believe, and Gabriel spoke about this in great details, that the karmic burden of the people on this earth have grown so much that the earth is eventually shaking its off. Basically, we are ahead of earth-changing times. Maybe next year, maybe in 100 years. I don't know. There is no time schedule. But the fact is that it all comes to a climax. All the structures of politics, of religion, of industry, of banking, etc., will eventually fall down because they're all based on selfishness. And with the reason, and we have to start all fresh again in a word. And the reason why this is going to be a hard time for many is by the simple fact of population. As you may know, until the year 1900, we had 1.5 million people on this world, rather for thousands and thousands of years. And then suddenly, 126 years ago, 8 billion. Why is that? It's not just because medical advances or whatever. No, it is the soul of the spiritual world are pressing for incarnation. Incarnation. They know that this is something incredible, amazing happening here on this planet Earth. It's a purification moment, a cleansing. They want to be part of it.
Mhm.
You and I have chosen consciously to be part of this if we live long enough, of course. But we are, so everybody who has made it onto this planet Earth wants to be here. Basically, we have won the lottery because not all souls can incarnate. There are many, many more souls in the spiritual realm who would love to be on planet Earth right now, even as grim as it politically and economically looks right now. But this is the time to purify. It's a fast drill of your soul, your karma. Once we go through these very few days we are alive here in these very difficult times, maybe ahead, we will be purified tremendously and we will advance on the other side. So from a spiritual perspective, what is happening here is a purification spheres. It's a cleansing spheres. And after that is, of course, a very different world with much higher vibration,
Mhm.
incarnating for souls of higher vibration. So it may look grim, it may look dark, but a dark cloud brings rain, and we need the rain sometimes, and we will be grateful for the rain. Now, it's not everybody will be hit equally because on planet Earth is a very big planet in a way. So some will hit more than others. We have got nation karmic. Some nations will be hit much more karmically than other nations. So it all varies. Not everybody will be hit the same way on this planet Earth. But we are going through a rough ride. But this rough ride is a cleansing ride. It's a purification ride. And instead of seeing it as dark and grim, it is our opportunity to really let go of all this garbage which we have accumulated maybe from lifetime to lifetime and to become finally free of this totally self-centered and self-centered, selfish behavior pattern which we all have subscribed to.
Yeah. And as you just said, we don't know how long this process will take. It might still be a few years, or it might be a shorter period. Saying in the Chinese book of wisdom, the I Ching, that stages of transition are often accompanied by great chaos. But maybe it's better we don't know how long this chaotic period lasts.
Precisely, yeah. And it lasts different for different people. Some it's very short, some, see, we don't know how we will be hit. It's all, but we don't remember. We have planned it. We knew it on the other side. But here we have got the veil of forgetfulness where we forget all the stuff once we incarnated. And let's see what happens. And therefore, it's important when we speak about mission and what is our purpose. Therefore, the only mission is to love whatever comes up, to love and nothing else. From moment to moment to moment, to be conscious, to do our action, whatever needs to be done, make the phone call to the electricity company or whatever it is, or do shopping, do it from the highest lovable possible, being attentive, being, or as Catholics say, being the here and now, because now is another word for God.
Yeah, that's a great closure, this call for presence, for mindfulness. I want to acknowledge you, Hans, for the work you do. I think it's important that we spread this message of love, of kindness, of compassion, especially during these chaotic times, to give people a perspective, to know that it all has a meaning, that
Yeah,
we all are here for a purpose, and that the world will be so different if we just practice more kindness, more compassion with each other.
precisely. Thank you, Rena. I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you
It
so much, Hans.
was fun. Lovely to meet you.